these talks that we have. And I'm going to do, this is a topic that I've addressed with this audience before. Mental capacity, powers of attorney. I guess the trust and contact piece is a little bit new, but I'm finding two things. The first is it used everything, a lot of what we thought would be true in dealing with the population turns out to be correct, but not all of it. And so I thought it's time to go back to the basics and re-examine them, because when I first started talking about these topics, we were still kind of guessing about exactly what was going to happen and exactly how to deal with problems as they came up. We've got 10 years of experience, roughly, under our collective belts since I gave those first talks. So I thought it's worth going back to take a look at it. And the second reason is, and I think that whenever I hear people scoff at self-help books, people always make fun of them, and then you open it up and you think, yeah, well, I know that. That's simple. Any idiot knows that. In fact, well, if it was so simple and if any idiot knows it, how come we don't do it? And that's true of the basic things. A lot of what makes it possible to serve an older population that includes many more vulnerable clients than any of us have had to contend with before is not the fancy stuff, not the kind of technical knowledge. It's attending to the basics. And I'm realizing I'm doing an awful lot of teaching and talking about these topics, and now dealing with problems coming up from the financial services industry is about half of what I'm doing day to day. So when I first started giving these talks, I might have had, say, a couple of calls a month from people like you or the people who you go to for help to do with mental capacity or powers of attorney. I can now have a day, I regularly have days where that's all I do is field those kinds of calls. So putting all that together, I thought it was worth going back. It's a brand new presentation but on an old topic. I'm going to do a little bit more talking than I usually do, because I think it really is worthwhile going back over the basics. Nancy, I see people trying to snap pictures of the slides. Is the presentation going to be available? Okay, so you don't have to snap. The presentation is going to be available on the IMP website. And I will try to leave some time at the end for questions, and if there's not enough time for questions, you can always let your friends at the IFB know what the questions are, because I'm quite happy, and what I've tried to do over the years is feed your questions and concerns into the presentations I give. So if I don't cover something this time, I can come back and do it next time, maybe. So, you see, I'm being mature and all official about it. I actually did an agenda. The only bullet point I want to highlight there is the capable but dangerous one. Because that's actually one of the things that's really caught me by surprise. If you had said to me 10 years ago, what's going to be the single biggest issue in meeting the needs of an aging population, I would have answered confidently, there's going to be more people around who are mentally incapable of making decisions, and that's going to be really hard to deal with. That's happened. And let me ask you, how many of you in your own day-to-day practices have had a moment when you've said to yourself, I'm not sure that this customer actually understands what we're trying to do here? Okay, how many of you have had to deal with that in your own family? I'm not going to ask you how many of you have felt it about yourself. We all get there. But what I'm finding the much bigger issue, now that's traumatic. When you're at that moment, and especially if it's a customer or client who you've known a long time and you really like, that moment when you're saying, I'm not sure that this person can give me instructions anymore, it's painful. And it's sometimes painful to deal with because it forces you to do things that you know the customer doesn't want you to do, maybe to hurt them. But it's not all that difficult, and the more we deal with it, the better we get at dealing with it. Capable but dangerous means the person who is still mentally capable of making decisions, but is no longer capable of making good ones. And those are often people who've been very successful in business or very successful as investors. And whatever the attributes that allow them to do that earlier in life are no longer functional, but they either don't know it or won't acknowledge it, and that's much tougher to deal with. And we'll talk a bit about that today. So I'm also calling this fitting it all together, because one of the things I'm finding, I've been saying to this audience pretty much since I started talking, that what's going to keep you out of trouble on a lot of things is getting your customers to identify a trusted contact for you. Someone you can call if you've got a concern about. So if your customer says to you, if you have a concern about my health or well-being, or you think I may not be able to make decisions, or you think that I may be subject to fraud or elder abuse or something, here's who you call, and then you get a consent to release private information. And my bet then, and I'll still make this bet, if you do that regularly with everybody, you're going to head off about 80% of what would otherwise become really problematic files. And you say, do it for everybody? Like 27-year-olds? Yeah. Do it for 27-year-olds too. They fall off their mountain bikes and knock their heads. But the other advantage to doing it for everybody is then when you get somebody looking at you and saying, oh, so you think I'm old, and you think because I'm old I can't make decisions anymore, and you're kind of like discriminating against old people, the answer is no, I'm discriminating against everybody. I'm asking everybody to do it. Takes a lot of the sting about it, out of it. So this just it's helpful to hear this, I think, because we all work day to day in our own offices, but take a look around you. There's white hair up at the front here, and there's a lot of white hair out in the audience there. We are an aging population, and I gave you one little factoid there that just brings it home. More people alive right now over age 65 than under the age of 15. And because so many of those 60, we live longer now. That's the ultimate first world problem. We all get to live long enough to become demented. Take it 20 years forward, majority of those 65-year-olds will still be alive and looking to a relatively thin cohort of people under age 30 to take care of them. So we have to be thinking about these issues, not just for our clients, but also for ourselves. Rates of dementia and delirium, and I'm going to talk a little bit more if we have time about the difference between the two, are increasing. So when I talk to everybody, people who do what I do, people who do what you do, we are all seeing more, we are all dealing with more people who we are concerned, with good reason, can't make their own decisions. The good news there is, for a long time, the people who do this stuff for a living were saying, we think we underestimated how much dementia there is out there in the larger population. So dementia is bad. Dementia doesn't get better. That's like Alzheimer's type dementia. Delirium, it looks like there may be less of it than the experts predicted, because we're doing a better job of looking after ourselves. And it turns out there are things you can do that protect your brain as it gets older, like staying close to your spouse and kids and your grandkids, and connecting with your community and speaking second languages and learning to play guitar and all kinds of other things. There is more delirium though, and that's short-term stuff, and a lot of what I'm seeing in my practice is it's kind of skyrocketing, and it takes you by surprise. That people, often older people, and it may be something as simple as an older person with a urinary tract infection that just sends them flying. You can be talking to someone Monday morning and having a a wonderful conversation on Monday afternoon, you're thinking, oh my God, what happened? Almost everybody over the age of 80 who spent more than 48 hours in a hospital room will end up delirious. Disoriented to time and place. The good news about that is it tends to resolve with time, and it means that often in dealing with practical problems, it's the advantage of being able to call someone. Because if you know, yeah, she was in the hospital, or she had bronchitis, or she had a urinary tract infection, then you know that your best course of action often is just play for a little bit of time, because there's a realistic chance the problem will get better if you do. The other thing I want to highlight there, and this is something else nobody would have predicted, divorce rates in the Canadian population generally start to go like this around 1967, and then they go like that around 1980. And they keep going up till about 2004, when it looks like they level off, but the appearance is misleading because there's fewer people of marriageable age, and that generation that lives as children through their parents' divorces, they quite wisely decide they just won't get married at all. So they get divorced without ever saying I do. What we're now seeing is an increase in divorce and separation among people aged 70 and older. And the demographers, and when the demographers come up with a name for it, you know it's real. So they talk about the gray divorce and the silver separation. And how many of you have, in your professional lives, been caught up in the middle of a client's divorce? So, and I was kind of feeling like, okay, with the population aging, maybe those battles are over. But and so that's one of the things we've all got to be watching for and alert to in serving an older population. So another kind of unpleasant surprise. Let's just talk a little bit about why we're all struggling to deal with these issues as we are. And I've come to realize this is one of those things, I knew it, but it took me a while to be able to put it in a nutshell. And it works like this. Different parts of the legal system are actually sending conflicting messages. So the people who are designing this power of attorney legislation and working generally on issues to do with public policy and meeting the needs of an aging population, they'll talk about not being ageist, not being stereotypical in your approach to older people, not discriminating against people on the basis of age, and they put all the focus on maximizing autonomy and the ability to make your own decisions. Regulators are increasingly looking at it and saying, you look after people and you beware that they may not be able to look after themselves as they age, and they're relying on you to do it. If you don't do a good job of it, we'll come down on you. So we thought the regulators imposing an increasing burden on all of us to look after people on the assumption that they're not always so good at looking after themselves. And we've got the law saying maximize their autonomy, and you and me are stuck in the middle of that. And the focal point comes with the release of confidential information. So just what are we supposed to do when we're stuck in the middle and we've got a genuine concern, and we know that the regulators expect us not to stick our heads in the sand, but to do something about the concern once we know it's there, but we've got a law in the background that says guard people's confidential information and don't release it without their consent. Now, the Privacy Commissioner did recommend, and the government did modify the federal privacy legislation so that if you have reason to suspect that someone is subject to fraud, you can go to an official agency. You can always report to the police, basically, without fear. But what we really need them to do is modify that legislation so that it says if you have a concern that someone may lack the mental capacity to give you an instruction, you can go talk to somebody about it without the risk of prosecution. In the U.S., securities regulators, when they talk about a safe harbor, part of that is giving people